Welcome to Conversations with Spirit, where we dive deep into the mystical and enchanting realms of spirituality. I'm your host, spiritual medium Lauri Albert, and together with special guests, we explore a world of spiritual insights and experiences, as well as offer captivating mediumship and oracle card readings. Tune in for enlightening conversations that will uplift your soul and expand your consciousness. Amazing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Spirit, my friends. I want to tell you before we start that I do this show in conjunction with evolveme.com, which is an all things metaphysical and spiritual website whose mission is to facilitate and empower personal enlightenment to all that seek it. There are on this website, there are mediums and psychics and healers and classes and workshops and retreats. So check it out if you're so led to do so. I would love to see you check it out. So our show tonight is on the transformative power of cultivating a soul-centered life. And what a better person to have as my guest for this topic than my dear friend, Austyn Wells. And Austyn, I am so thrilled that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
I am so excited for you. I'm so excited for this adventure, and I wish you so much luck with it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You guys, I want to read to you a little bit about Austyn because she is up to some extraordinary things. Okay, so Austyn is an author, a spiritual medium, and soul gardener who mentors spiritually seeking individuals to cultivate their own intuition, heal their hearts, and connect with the divine. She offers online classes, personalized and public spiritual retreats, one-on-one sessions, and her AWSM family membership. She has, check this out, she has presented for organizations such as Edgar Cayce's ARE in Virginia Beach, the Omega Institute, the Sun Valley Wellness Festival, and the Afterlife Conference. Wow, that's so cool. Her award-winning book, Soul Conversations, guides you into a conversation with your soul and the universe. Her Divine Spark and Insight cards supplement any holistic practice by adding a powerful tool to your spiritual toolbox. So I have these cards, and I have to tell you before we get into this, Austyn, these cards are so much fun. They're pictures, you guys. These are gummy bears, and here's like a little handprint in the sand. You know, I mean, they're what I love, because I think that whenever we use cards, which I just do online, I don't usually use them in my own like readings and stuff, but you got to see what you see out of the cards. And so that's why I love these cards. So anyway, I had to say that before I started. Austyn, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. I've talked enough. It's your turn now. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I love this conversation for us because you are a soul gardener. And I just think that that's extraordinary. How did you come up with the term soul gardener?
Some deep thinking, because I was trying to figure out what I was in pursuit of. And as I studied hypnotherapy and shamanism and meditation and remote viewing and had my own past life experiences and then studied it and then looked at different theologies, I thought, what is the single thing that is the thread that also is the reason why the spirit world is connecting with us? And it just became evident it was the soul. And then I was like, okay, all right, so who tends things? A gardener does, awesome. Okay, soul gardener. And then I went, what the hell is the soul?
Yeah.
And that, I'm really glad that I created a term for myself that I had to grow into. Because I think in order to understand your journey, there's a lot of words that you authentically have to define. Yeah. And you're going to find people along the way and teachers along the way that are going to say, okay, it means this, and it means this, and it means this.
Right.
The best way of stepping into your own conversation with the universe is looking at those big chunky monkey words
Yeah.
and really sitting down and saying, okay, all right, I think I get it. This is what
Yeah.
it means for me.
Yeah.
So we were talking about dry erase boards before we started tonight. I think I went through, God, 500 and 600 dry erase boards trying to write down what other people had thought, what I agree with, what I didn't agree with.
Mhm.
And it really was, I feel like, such a gift. So it's beautiful, isn't it? To be
Yeah.
so passionate about something that it leads you on your own exploration. And then you can offer it to other people, like kind of like a buffet, and they
Yeah.
can pick and choose what works for them.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, because that's what you are. You are a soul gardener. You help us because I've taken your classes, right? You
Mhm.
help us grow and expand our soul. And that's why I just admire you so much for that because that is exactly who you are, and so you found it. I love that. So
It helps. I mean, I think it helps, but it's the invitation, since the theme that we kind of talked about stepping
yeah.
into tonight is
Yeah.
talking to the ancestors is the most incredible experience for
Mhm.
those of us that are fortunate enough to develop that capacity, as well as people that benefit from having that experience shared with them.
Mhm.
Um, but it's just the beginning of the conversation, because
Yeah.
once you start realizing this intelligence that
Mhm.
is so divine and
Mhm.
clearly more intelligent than we are. So it's
Yeah.
a divine intelligence. It can be such a great offering, but
Mhm.
then you start thinking, well, God, if they can talk to me, then like, have we done this before? So if I'm eternal, that kind of means I got to look at my life differently. Because like,
Yeah.
why am I doing this over and over again, like a bad Groundhog's Day episode? You know, and I think that's the invitation. And I had some statistics, but I'll keep all the nerdy stuff aside. There's a dearth in our country of people who are finding solace in typical religious pursuits. People
Mhm.
are seeking a personal relationship with God, with spirit.
Yeah.
And I really feel that there's a great opportunity for anyone, whether they're choosing to follow a Christian path or a Judaic path, or they're not connected with conventional religion, and they just want to have their own spirituality,
Mhm.
to find out what that's asking you to become and what
Mhm.
you can learn about yourself in the process.
That is such a beautiful way to describe that because that to me is oh my gosh, I was just saying, I just turned 59, right? So I was in thinking back to how confused I was about spirituality and all that stuff way back when in my 20s. I mean, I wish that I would have had, now I say that, I wish that I would have had this type of conversation or people like you in my life back then. However, if I didn't go through what I went through back then, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. So, it's kind of like a, kind of thing. It's very exciting.
Yes.
It's such a
It's
beautiful conversation, in
Well,
what I
and
do.
you can also see, I'm getting this analogy of like a dragon peeking up through the water. Moments in your lifetime, and having studied some indigenous belief systems, we can install, and I really believe we do this as a soul, we can install kind of like rainstorms of guidance and help in different moments of our lives, that if we so choose, we can switch the light bulb or turn the light switch, and that experience happens. And we're like, oh, wow, this feels really amazing. Let me go back and be unconscious for a while.
Right.
And you have those pop ups of spiritual opportunities. I call them spiritunities. That when you start looking back, when you start really living life from a soul centered perspective,
Mhm.
and every day, every person, every moment is an opportunity to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Then you start noticing, oh, wait a minute, God, that person gave me that piece and this one. And I think, girlfriend, that's what we call wisdom,
Yeah.
is when you can look back without judgment, you can look
Mhm.
back with just compassion.
Mhm.
for yourself, and be grateful for the twists and turns, because you're right, we wouldn't be where we are without those very things.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. So I want to say hello to some people. We've got a plethora of friends on Instagram. We've got Stephanie and, oh my God, Etz, Don K, and Jeffrey Pack, yay. And Jay Lee says hello. It says, hi, Lauri and Austyn. The Louis Grassi, Jay Perez, NY Sandy, and we got Reckless Miller. R. Kessler Miller. And Potomac, I don't know. I can't pronounce all these names. Potomac Wink, Sue, and JSOD Crochet. Okay, so that is on Instagram. But then guess what? We've got a mutual friend.
I know. I just saw, my heart just melted. Hi,
Ed. Ed Torres, a wonderful medium and psychic and just beautiful soul is online as well. We've got Shannon, we've got Elizabeth, hello Elizabeth, and Susan, Shannon, and Dose of Sunshine, hello, and Francesca.
Yes. Hi, Francisca.
And from Susan, nice to see you. So Ed actually asks quite a profound question. So this is kind of interesting. It says, can you share some of our ancestors' words of wisdom that have really touched you, motivated you, or moved you? That is such a Ed. That's such a beautiful.
It's an Ed question, which is
yes,
perfect.
it really is.
Gosh, there's so many ways you can think of that. The first one that comes to mind is not where I would have gone, but I remember becoming aware of someone who was in the dying process. And I was standing outside of my old house, and I was in the backyard, and I felt him come alongside of me. And he turned to me, and mind you, this was within 5 minutes of his passing. He turned to me and he said, of course, he's not, alive. This is his soul. Might as well give good context with it. And he turned to me and he said, boy, Austyn, I really missed this opportunity. And I was so blown away that insight was that immediate. Wow. And especially because that person's soul, God love him, wasn't the most self-aware human being. He kind of played the role of a narcissist within his lifetime. And it was extraordinarily meaningful just because it helped me with context about how sometimes the roles that people play facilitate growth.
Yeah.
So Ed, that's the first one that comes through. And then I think the degree to which the spirit world will go to give, Lauri, I'll share the Zoom one because it was kind of funny. Zoom has started, I do most of my sessions on Zoom, and they've added all these really funny things that happen when you move your fingers in a certain way, or there's balloons that pop up and all this sorts of stuff. I have a family who I've been lucky to spend a number of years now connecting with people in their family, and their father had passed away. And they had done a ritual where they had released balloons. And he had given me that information. I shared it with them. They were really excited. That came forward. But then he kept saying, but Austyn, there's like 2 of 2. There's like 2 of this and 2 of this. And I'm like, you guys, I have no idea what he's talking about. Like, he's talking about the 2 and the 2 and the 2. And all of a sudden on Zoom, all of the balloons came up into the screen and flooded the whole thing. I'd never seen that before. But talk about divine intelligence. Like, they even know about Zoom updates before we. So that one in particular, like now, and again, that's just the benefit of being absolutely with the soul and souls that you're talking to, is trusting them so profoundly and not making it about me needing to understand.
Yeah.
So those 2, I'll share those 2.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And you know what's really interesting, and it kind of goes back to sort of what we were chatting about before we went live, in that, what we're doing here is we are stewards of spirit. We are like here to help others, you know? And I think that when we sort of really live into that, and that kind of goes with the soul centered
Mhm.
life, right? When we live into that, we experience these things like, you know, the man that said he missed out, or what did he say? He missed an opportunity. Wow,
Yeah.
that's so powerful. You know, I mean, that's what we're here to do. And I just love that, that you remembered that, you know, that you use that as an example of this, because that's exactly what this is all about, right?
Well, and the spirit world, and I use that term very specifically because when we're connecting with the universe, it's a different conversation than connecting with the spirit world.
Sure.
The spirit
Yeah.
world is the bandwidth that
Hmm.
is specifically ancestors that we have been connected with, or souls that have been in the experience of the physical. So they have a certain kind of intelligence that they offer us.
Yeah.
Um, but what was compelling about that conversation and why the work is always teaching me is it made me realize that observer, which was the voice from which he was coming from, that part of his soul that has the ability to comment on itself, to be observing itself, was immediately available. But that's the opportunity of developing spiritually, and
Yeah.
then really working on a personal spirituality is
Yeah.
developing that ability to be loving and kind to yourself enough that you can be objective to your own decisions and your own actions and words and thoughts,
Hmm. Hmm.
and see where there's opportunities for you to do better.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Gosh. Wow. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Um, so when what part it, in terms of you, for you, okay, this doesn't have to be like for everybody, right? But for
Mhm.
you, what part does meditation really play in, you know, on your individual journey? I know, look, she's under the table now.
Yeah.
But what part does meditation play for you? Like, and
I think
again,
that
it can
I
be
think,
anything for you. It does. It's
yeah.
just, I love the different opinions about it. So go ahead. Sorry.
Well, on a very selfish level, it is the place I learn, and the invitation to be in conversation with the universe.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
is to practice that objectivity, to be able to witness things that within my God love her human being girl who gets, kerfuffled by things that happen in life. That
Mhm.
girl isn't always capable of going, gee, Austyn, let's sit and just look at this situation a little better. The meditation has taught me to be able to keep that one foot in the divine, which is what,
Mhm.
as mediums, we do for our
Mhm.
clients when we're spending time with them, because their grief is disallowing that part of themselves to relax into.
Yeah.
So meditation is an inward conversation, and so it's inside out. And I
Mhm.
think so many people live outside in. And I want to credit that comment to a girlfriend of mine who's in the dying process. She
Mm.
wrote me a note this weekend. She's so good. She's such a good woman. And she said, Austyn, I think I missed the point of my life because I was always outside in, worried about what people think, and then bringing it
Mhm.
inside. And then I was hard on myself. She says, but
Yeah.
the dying process has taught me to be inside out,
Yeah.
because then I can hold space for other people. And
Mhm.
that is the conversation of the soul. We have the human being that's always going to be outside and going, do you like me? Do you like, it's the Sally Field. Do you like me? Do you
Mhm.
like me? Do you
Yeah.
like me? That kind of thing. It's an old
Mhm.
reference, but we'll go with
Yeah.
it.
No, I knew what you meant
Yeah,
though.
I know you did. Similar vintage. Mwah. But it's that kind of idea of being more concerned about other people than yourself.
Yeah.
But then the inward out can sound like ego, but
Mhm.
it's not, because there's a humility within the inside out of realizing that when you can have that epiphany that everything is a reflection of you in some capacity, and that you are that distillation of spirit, that there's none other like it on this planet, then you start understanding the gift of human relations, the gift of being alive, the gift of being of service, the gift of holding space for someone who doesn't have that inside out ability.
Yeah. And you know, it's really interesting. What goes along with that is I believe it was Ram Dass. Oh my gosh, I'm having a moment. But Ram Dass, when he says, you know, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I think sometimes people just throw that out there, you know, and it's like, oh, we're spiritual beings. But whenever I bring it up, I try to say, no, listen to that. You know, we are spiritual beings and we're having a human experience. So guess what? You know, like I can have that glass of wine. Like, because when I first started this work, I thought, what am I going to do? I can't drink. What am I going to do? And I thought, you know, and then all of a sudden I heard that one day and I thought, you know what? I can have a glass of wine and it's okay. You know what I mean? That's my belief. And that's, you know, it doesn't have to be everybody's, right? But it's
but I think there's merit to that, because you can become, you know, especially if you get into a kind of an ego engagement in the work and think, oh my God, I can talk to these people, and you can begin to take on things that aren't really allowing yourself to have a balanced life. Like any profession, your human being needs a lot of work. So if you're fortunate to do something groovy for a living, how nice for you. But like there is daily stuff going on with your human being. And that's the part that really needs all the love and the support.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a glass of wine every now and then.
A glass of wine once in a while.
Right?
Yeah. But that's the thing, you know, learning how to, I feel like that, you know, in regards to the conversation we're having, I think that there is a balance, and it doesn't have to be, I mean, I was raised very Catholic, and then I went to the Christian thing, and then I went and I studied them all. You know, I studied Buddhism and all this other stuff. It was great, you know. But one of the things I learned was that in studying all that, I was learning what I think. And at first I started to just what's the word? Forget what it's like. Oh, it doesn't matter what I think. It just matters what, you know, the Bible says, or whatever, you know, like spiritual text says. But then I started realizing that it's really a balance. For me, it's just a balance of both. And that made it, to me, like, it was like, okay, I get this now, you know? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, it completely makes sense. And this is a bold thing to say, especially in a forum like this. I have always thought that the second coming of Jesus and God and our Savior and all of that is when it's a personal relationship, and that is within us. And we are acting as that energy and blended so deeply with that energy that we are the divine in action. Now, it's not you know, it doesn't put us equal to the ascended master and the beautiful teacher that Jesus is.
Yes.
But it puts us in a different level of responsibility about how you behave in the world and who you are in the world. And I think that internal relationship, I think that's really what people are seeking right now, because you can read about things, but you had made mention about, you know, kind of the thinking and the feeling in a way of spirituality, and that, you know, I'm going to learn what they think, and I'm going to learn what they think. And then you were bringing it in. But I think the feeling in us is the bridge between what our human being goes through, which can feel isolating because it can feel like we're the only one because we are myopically aware of ourselves.
Absolutely.
But then the feeling is also the bridge, one of the bridges to that dynamic energy that surrounds us, that is infinite and constant and 24/7. And so to be able to be a vulnerable, sensitive, emotional person is a gift to this world, but it's not the easiest responsibility. It's not the easiest task, because there will be lots of external noise. But back to your comment about meditation, what meditation does is create that inner pillar of strength. It creates that enlightenment within, that enlightened place and space that is so corely installed that it's a return to and a refreshing from and a rebirth in a way.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
How
Absolutely.
would you define meditation, girlfriend, with all of your meditations and connections?
It's interesting because I started meditating like 25 years ago. My daughter was just born. That's how I know how many years it's been, because she's 26.
So great time to start meditating. And she's
right. I know. Somebody said,
girl.
I think you need some meditation. I'm like, yeah. But for me, at first, it was just a way to sort of separate myself from the stuff of life, of like the drama and the things that were happening in my life. It just took, I needed that. And again, and I say this all the time, but I started out 10 minutes. I ended up, it's about 30 minutes now. 30 minutes is like my sweet spot, although today was like an hour. It was awesome. I had an hour and I was like, this is awesome. This is great, But for me, what it kind of sort of developed into is just a way for me to, and I'm a Masters of Wisdom and meditation teacher with David G. Right, I studied with him, and what I learned is that he used to talk about that in the gap. He would talk about like finding the peace in the gap, right? And so I was like, what is the gap? So the gap is like in between the thoughts. So we're thinking right now, this thought, and then there's this thought. So the gap is the middle part, is where there's nothing. And that's what he would teach us. And I thought, okay, so sometimes you get there, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's the laundry list of like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do that, all of that stuff. But what I feel now is that I feel that now I use meditation as sort of my connection with my guides, with just spirit, just whatever, that's the universe. So you were talking before, and I really want to jump back to this, and you said this way at the beginning, but like the difference between spirit and the universe. You were talking about that. And I wanted to come back to that because that's a really fascinating thing. And I never thought about it that way. And it's very fascinating. So you were talking like your relationship with spirit, but then there's also a relationship with the universe. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I am hugely curious about how this whole thing works.
Yeah.
And
love it.
I was fortunate to have some beautiful mentors and continue to have beautiful mentors. And what I noticed was when I was watching one of them demonstrate, he was on, I have to have a drink of
Oh, you have water. Oh my gosh. I totally know how that feels. That's okay. And just so everybody knows, we are going to get to readings in just a few minutes. So just be aware, we are going to be doing readings. So go ahead.
Okay.
There you go. Boy, do I understand that. With all the allergies going on, yeah, I'm constantly, so.
I'm just going to sound like I have a different voice. So say I'm channeling, I'm not.
It's the Brenda Vaccaro. Oh my goodness. Do you need me to? I can take a minute. Let me just read a couple of these comments because we got a couple of comments. This is actually really interesting. Charsky says, I absolutely love and resonate with all of this right now. Grew up under an avid church-going mom that lives and breathes the Bible. I always believed, but never agreed with how people go about it. Boy, do I relate to that. And then Charsky continues on and says, once I had my awakening almost 2 years ago, I realized that the answer is actually within me. Oh, that's beautiful. I pray, I meditate. But I think that the Bible church has been twisted so much to fit certain beliefs. And you know what? Here's the point. If you want to believe that, if you believe everything that the Bible says, more power to you. It's okay to believe that. It's okay to believe everything that the Yoga Sutras. If you want to believe that and you want that to be your thing that you follow, do it. You know, but I think to me, it's about believing something. So yeah. So
and
anyway,
I'm back.
Yeah.
Finding the path that best facilitates a relationship with the divine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if we could just let people find their own way,
yeah,
you know, I think we have a tendency to want it to look like what we understand because we're excited about it.
mm-hmm.
You know, we're almost childlike about it, but there is so much beauty in these religious texts and ways of living. And to me, the most important thing is understanding God and understanding that divine intelligence and seeing how aligning with it, what that does for you.
Yeah.
And it's meant to distill differently. And it's beautiful that it does because it encourages compassion.
Yeah.
So it's necessary. So back to the bandwidth and everything. When I was trying to understand what the hell I was doing, because this wasn't what I thought I signed up for. I studied a lot because I'm an avid student. I have so many flipping degrees and different things, but I spent a lot of time studying energy medicine and understanding the fields of the body and the chakras. And I started really spending time in meditation between the bandwidths so I could understand, you know, because someone would teach me in class, okay, the physical layer of the body is this big, and then it's this, and then it's this, and then it's this. And I'm like, what? You know, is that true for everybody? Like, if someone's had like an experience. So I really have spent a lot of time, and this is where the spirit world / the universe has been working with me the last 5 years, is I started offering free meditations on Wednesday nights, which I still continue, but I was doing it every single night during COVID. I did 170 nights, almost all in a row.
Wow.
No charge, just because I got worried about people.
Yeah.
I got worried that people were alone. I got worried that people weren't going to make it through.
Yeah.
So it was my life raft. It was the thing that I could offer, that I could say. But what I realized in it was there was lots of metaphysical questions, and we talked about all sorts of different things. But then the spirit world took us all kind of on a journey of, let's explore the invisible world. And it started with our own energy fields and our own soul space. And then there was different mechanisms that were introduced into it. So if you can think of a rainbow as a great illustration of delineated light, but it's not so specific that the red finishes and then the orange begins. It just kind of blends from one thing to the next. So if you can think of that kind of idea with all different kinds of dimensions of consciousness, that's levels of consciousness, that's, you know, that's ancestral intelligence, that's human experience. It also relates, I think, and this will possibly kick up some comments. Yay. I'm not such a big believer in hauntings. I just think that there's residual energy that exists. And it's just thought form, you know?
Yeah.
And it has energy to it. So there's a lot of healing that can happen within the world as we individually heal, not only within our own ancestry, but within, you know, the collective human experience. And so there's all sorts of different bandwidths, but that's why anytime that anybody does any kind of spiritual venturing, which is so darn fun, right? You're like, hey, I'm intuitive, let me read you. So fun. And I totally get it. So fun. But take a hot second to get yourself in alignment with the best source of distillation. Like tap into a source that's a heck of a lot more intelligent than you are, and trust the fact that it's there. And spend a moment really getting in before you start talking out.
Yeah.
Because then the dimensions will open up to you, but they also open up to you to the level of your own unfoldment. So when I've dealt with people who are Zen masters, it's been a total, like ride doing sessions with them, because we're like in dimensions. I'm like, geez, I've never been here before. So it's the other thing about meditation is you start to understand it's not just, there's like one guide, there's this and there's this. I've been leading meditation many times a week now for over 5 years. And some of the people are here from my AWSM family.
Oh,
and it's not the same. We never have like, oh my God, it's that rainbow hummingbird meditation again. It's like every time it's a different thing. So
wow.
It's a long-winded explanation for your question, but it's the come hither of meditation is you talk about the gap.
Yeah.
To me, what it is it's the space of mind. So we have our thoughts, which is our brain being busy, and we have synapses that, take our impulses and all sorts of different ways that our brain functions and works. But I believe when you can be in calm and peace and relationship with yourself with compassion,
right,
you have spent time looking backwards, and you're honoring the tethers and not being pulled by them. And your fear and anxiety isn't making you about the future. And you can actually practice presence. Then that space of mind is an open field.
Yeah.
Because that's where spirit meets you. So to me, the gap is your mind. And when you are in that place of mind, you can co-create like crazy. It's where Einstein and Benjamin Franklin and the transcendentalists and so many people have found that place in space. So.
Yes. Oh, that was beautifully said. That was absolutely beautifully said. But I have to say, Susan in NYC says rainbow hummingbird meditation sounds good too.
That's funny.
But it's true. If you follow where spirit is leading you to go, maybe it's a hummingbird meditation, maybe it's something else,
but that's the fun part. And that's the beautiful that this, we're singing to the law. But that's the beautiful thing about the introduction of mediumship or even intuition. And this is this kind of thing that spirit does is all of a sudden you're thinking about something that you couldn't really have come up with on your own.
Right.
And it can make you feel like, hey, check me out. I can think about things I didn't know I could think about. But what's cool is if you can get past that ego part that wants to claim everything, you can get to this really cool space where you realize if you're always in that dialogue with the universe, your life takes a whole different rhythm. Yeah. I learned it when I wrote my book because my editor, my publishing company, New Harbinger, was just amazing. We rewrote the book 4 months before it was due, so I had to start completely over.
Oh, wow.
And edit at the same time. But it was the best thing that could happen because Austyn doubting mind didn't come in going, knock, knock, knock. Is that intelligent enough? Do we need to make that sound smarter? Yeah. I had to trust and just download information.
Yeah.
And it was a much easier process. And then the meditation started. So it happens in all sorts of different ways, but I can't, and meditation doesn't mean not thinking. I'm always thrown by people. If you're not thinking, you're dead. Like if there's nothing going on, if you think the gap is like, meh, there's nothing happening, that's not it. You're meant to be human at the same time. But if you can practice it enough, you can get to the point where you can really have like this. It's almost like you're floating on water, and the water is just super still, and yet you can feel and smell and see and experience. And then you hit a totally different level of being like the soul explorer going into the universe, like going, now what? you know, because the present moment is so beautiful and intriguing. You just can't help but fall in love with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. And you know what? It's so interesting because you were talking about your book, because that's when I wrote my book about manifestation that you wrote. Thank you. A beautiful editorial review. So thank you for that. But when I wrote that, I was like, I don't know about writing a book, really, you know? And then I had the conversation with my guides and I said, look, maybe I can do this and I'll just give it all up to spirit. Right. So every day I would sit down and I would just say, okay, I'm giving it up to you. Let's just do it. And it just came out so beautifully. And you know what? And it's really funny because just yesterday I was reading a part of the book and I was like, I have no recollection of writing that.
Right?
It's spirit. It was all spirit.
And mind you, this was before AI.
Yes.
So this wasn't like, oh, I don't remember writing that part because Jasper wrote it for me. No, it's not that. It's honestly, and that's the beauty of that. So for people, anybody that's listening that like thinks, oh, I can't meditate, I totally get it. And I really want to prove you wrong. So if like conventional meditation doesn't work, first of all, start off with guided meditation. That's really super helpful. It's kind of like going on a mini vacation. It's really fun. And if you find someone who's delightful and fun and entertaining, or whatever your rhythm is. But the other thing you can do is ask, listen, write, which a beautiful channel, Sean Randall, just distilled in me years ago when I was working with her. And ask, listen, write is so simple, but essentially what it is you ask a question that you may not know the answer to, not like how much is gasoline going to be next week. Something a little bit more profound that maybe the universe might want to comment on. Ask, then you listen, meaning you have a journal. And one of the things that I love to suggest to people is write on both sides of the journal. So on the left-hand side, you write down when your brain is going, I can't do this. This really sucks. I'm really bad at this. And then you reserve the right-hand side, not for being right, but you reserve the right-hand side for when you feel like the voice is coming in. Because a lot of learning about intuition is discerning between your own voice. Because they're both kind of inside. Spirit's voice is, you'll have a spirit ear, so it'll be like on this side or this side, like Bob Fosse here. But it's just that ability to start discerning. And then once you really start paying attention to that, notice my thoughts come in this part of my head. Spirit's thoughts come, oh man, it is around that part of my ear. So then when you sit down, you can focus on opening up your fifth chakra and that part, and then really start working on talking to God, talking to spirit. It's beautiful. It's the best conversation you'll ever have.
And the name of your book is Soul Conversations, right? Or Soul Conversations, right?
Soul Conversations, a medium reveals how to cultivate your intuition, heal your heart, and connect with the divine.
That's beautiful. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely beautiful. I love it.
I had a lot of help. New Harbinger was awesome. They were so helpful. Could not have done it by myself.
Oh my gosh. That's so fantastic. So, okay. So we're here to answer questions, or if anybody would like a reading, let's jump on into that. Stephanie, Cangiano, are you still here, Stephanie? Because she says, any message from my dad? Ooh. So, and Tink is here. Hi, Tink. I don't know if
I don't have the thread that she's on in front of me.
Oh yeah, no, that Instagram. Stephanie Cangiano is on Instagram.
Okay. Can you do you mind if can I say something? Do you want me to start? I don't know. Because if you want to say something, you can. Stephanie, well, I can't think of a better person than your father to be brought forward into this conversation. First of all, because your father is not someone to sit down. Your father has a beautiful, beautiful personality. He's very commanding of rooms and participatory. And so to bring a soul like that into a conversation like this is actually really fun. What I love about your father is that he's a magnificently sensitive man. Doesn't want people to know that about him, but you as his daughter would know that. I love the fact that your relationship was so beautifully integrated. He loves that you have his sense of humor, which you do in spades, girl. And I also feel like it almost felt like you lost a part of you when he stepped out of this world, because within your family system, I think there is I think your mom is a master teacher for you. And I understand that rhythm. And I think that it can sometimes feel like you're the one that's got to take everything on. But I beg your pardon?
She says, oh, yes.
Okay, so. Good. Okay. But he's hilarious, girlfriend. And but I think the thing I'm most compelled to talk about is his sensitivity, because he needed a lot of structure, which I think your mom provides, if you can kind of see it as from that perspective, because he needs guidance. And I think your mom, because she's not always the most emotional person, could kind of help him and help guide him with that particular quality that he has. I know that you were conscious of his, aware of the fact that he was ill prior to his passing, but his passing was much faster than expected. And I just want you to know something about your dad. Your dad is somebody who had a lot of pride in the man that he was. He loved people. He was generous. Family is magnificently important to him. And he's not one of those guys that would want a lot of people. He'd want a lot of people staring at him and being ill.
That's interesting.
And I find that sometimes, there are moments we can kind of articulate, and our death, we have a hand in. There are passings that are very difficult, the sudden passings or something like a car accident or something like that. But in this case, your father is not have to be someone who people feel sorry for. It's just not his way of being. And so all I want to say to you is your father died with the right kind of respect to his own soul and what he needed to have happen. But I also really feel how present you were with him. And also, I just can feel how tough this moment is for you, girlfriend, because he's just such a good guy. He's laughing about our conversation about God and all that kind of stuff, because I think he's sarcastic, like he wants to do kind of funny stuff like that. But God, I really like him a lot. He's a very good man. Such a good man, super integral.
She says, I did lose a part of me. He was a free spirit. My mom was very serious, and he was the best, is what she said.
No, and I love the fact that you reach out, because his energy is perfect for what we're talking about.
Yeah.
He would, and he doesn't mind being the focus of attention a little bit, He gets, it's cute. He blushes a bit when you he's charming. He's funny. He's got such a big personality, but he could be kind of shy every now and then. So he's super lovable. So I'm just sending you so much love, and thank you for allowing us to connect with him.
That's beautiful.
Anything, Lauri, you want to say about it?
No, you know what? You said everything. That was just so stunningly beautiful. So and she says, thank you. She said that they used to sing together. So
and what's the RB? Is there like a Robert, Bob, or Richard, or a Robert or a Richard that's connected with him, or a Bob?
She's not saying anything just yet. There is a little tiny bit of a lag.
That's okay. There's just an R. There's an R name and a B name, not that he's making mention of. So it might be two separate people that were friends of his that he's just thrown in at the last minute. Anyway, yes.
Awesome. So, Robert is an old boyfriend.
Oh.
So there you go.
Dad's having some words.
Yeah.
I just felt like she went, oh God, I didn't know that. No, your dad, you know what? It's probably your dad just having some fun with you. He's like,
I think so.
I say I'm around right now that might make her a little bit questionable. That was funny. Okay.
That's really cute. Okay, so I'm going to go back to YouTube, and so you can see these comments. Nan Garside on Gmail. Hopefully she's still here. She says today is the 5th anniversary of her husband's passing. So is there anything She's
Do
so
you want to,
sweet.
sweetie, do you want to say anything too? Because it's not just me here.
No, I know. I just,
Yeah.
you're the guest, so I wanted you
Oh
to go.
God,
You know what?
honey, no. Look, if this is what we're doing is being of service to people. It's not about
Yes,
one person more than another. It's about
yeah,
helping people out. So please,
absolutely.
if there's something you'd like to just say, please go right
Um, Actually, I see you're gonna laugh. Oh my gosh, Nan, I hope you're still here. So
ahead.
what I'm picking up, I keep seeing, oh my God, and it's like, and I'm just getting a lot of chills. So let me just tell you, I keep seeing oh my God, lips, like kisses, like these like it's like an emoji. You know how the
Mhm.
emoji oh my God, that's so embarrassing to say, but like
No.
I keep seeing the emoji, the kisses, the lips, so I keep seeing that to you, and I feel like that he was a fun man. Nan, I have to say he just seemed really fun, and this would be um this would be some, the kiss emoji is like, I just feel like that he was like, we have to do it that way. And they're just all over. It's like, on those screens
Mhm.
when you see like the kiss emoji, kiss, kiss, kisses, and it's all over the place. That's what I'm seeing. So,
Very sweet.
and I just, I feel like that you have a lot of, obviously, I mean, this is kind of silly to even really say, but you have a lot of stress in your life surrounding um surrounding the passing of your husband, and I'm kind of feeling like I feel like that he is like, you know what? Sit back and take some time for yourself. Like, you need to sit back because it's all good. And apparently he's telling me that you were kind of the worry ward in the family, whereas he
Mhm.
was kind of the he was a little bit less worrisome, wordy, if that's the right way to say that. But I feel like that, so there's that. He just wants you to know that he's with you, even though he's on the other side, he's still like right beside you. He hangs out with you all the time. So, Nan, I'm going to pass it over to Austyn. Are you picking up anything?
Oh, I think you did such a good job, sweetie. I just want to kind of leave it there. I just think it's perfect.
That's great.
It's
That's
perfect.
awesome. So,
Yeah.
Nan,
Yeah.
I hope that message served you well. He is with you a lot, sends a lot of kisses. So there you go.
Yeah.
And then next we have Elizabeth. Elizabeth Harper, may I have a reading, please? And then later she says, I would love to hear from my parents.
Yeah.
You can go first on this one.
Okay.
Hi, Courtney.
Elizabeth, the first thing that happens when I connect, you welcome, Nan. Um, Elizabeth, the first thing that happens when I connect is your dad's like, what the heck am I doing here? Like, I'm sorry. It makes me laugh when I can tell that someone is like, I got called to this room and people are doing what, and why am I talking to this woman? So I love your dad. God, your dad has such a core of integrity. He is a very honest man. He's real as the day is long. He's very loyal to the people that he cares about. And now he likes me, so now he doesn't mind talking with me. It's so funny. You sometimes kind of have to win him over a little bit.
Yeah, totally
So
know that.
and hopefully, Miss Elizabeth, this is making sense. But he's what I appreciate about him is his mind. He's such an intelligent man, and he's so I think, again, I'm just really compelled to talk about his integrity, which you have in spades, in your work ethic. And your father is very, very proud of the work that you do because you have a fantastic way of working with people. You have you've always had an affinity to do work that helps other people. But you're so damn smart, girl. I mean, your mind just works like this. And I think it's taken you a little bit of time to like figure out, how do I apply that lightning smart intelligence that I have that really runs in your family? put it in an alignment with what it is that I do. So your father's talking about there being a little bit of a late blooming to your soul, which I highly suggest, because why shouldn't we be at the best version of ourselves later instead of popping up early? I mean, I love people like Zendaya. I'm like, oh my God, Zendaya is just like amazing. I didn't have any idea who I was at that age. Like,
Yeah.
God love her at 27, knowing everything. She looks
Yeah.
amazing. So anyway, but Elizabeth, your father and your father also isn't always the biggest emotional communicator. So you would know he cared. You could feel it for sure. And I know that, again, there's a good alignment there with you and he. But I just feel like he'd get kind of, the emotion would get caught in his throat a little bit. And so there's just this sense of, he would have really wanted to make sure that your life was fulfilled and was wonderful. And I just think he's magnificently proud of you for what you've done, because you would want him to be proud. Like, I feel like there's a part of you that kind of looks over your shoulder and like, God, I hope he likes this. But he's, you're a great entrepreneur, he says. And for him, I just don't know if that was his wheelhouse. Like, he kind of wanted to stay in the lane of what he did. He wouldn't want to do something that was, outside of the box. And so I think he's like, well, look at that. That's really interesting. I'm amazed that she does that. There's just this really lovable quality about him that I just adore. And then your mom is just fantastic. And I'm kind of surprised. This is funny. I'm kind of surprised your mom didn't overtake the reading, which I think you understand. But I think because there's a birthday coming up in the family, I think mom wanted to let your dad have some time, because I think you're used to her kind of being a little bit more chatty and having time with her. So I feel like your that's probably part of the reason he was like, well, I normally don't go first. Why am I doing this thing? So I'm laughing, Elizabeth, at how your folks are showing up. But I also give you lots of credit, because you did really well as a daughter to two very different people. So way to go.
Yeah. And it's so interesting, just to sort of piggyback on that. I really feel like that Elizabeth, you have a long line of strong women in your, in spirit, yeah, I feel like that there's a lot of women in your family that are just super powerful and made a difference in the world. I'm really referring to the women that are in spirit that are behind me now, but I really feel like, Elizabeth, that you are part of that group, and they are like, it's like this group of women, these very powerful and very empowering women are like embracing you. I just absolutely love that. Oh my gosh.
And piggybacking on that, her work has a lot to do with empowering women. So she's bringing that energy forward. So beautiful. I think Elizabeth, I feel like you've done a little bit of ancestry on mom's, on parts of the family, but just know, especially on, and I think this is what Lauri was really picking up on, is there's this amazing lineage of women who, there's compromise, and there was a lot of sacrifices, I could say, but a strength that's really palpable. And I think you've developed that for a number of different reasons. But I really give you lots of credit and want to send you love in the work that you're doing, because I can feel you're genuinely like invested in it.
Yeah.
So
beautiful.
This is not a paid advertisement for Elizabeth's business, but you should check her out, because clearly she's good at what she does.
That's awesome. Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So much love.
Thank you, everybody, for being like around. This is really nice.
I know. Let me read to you what Stephanie actually said at the end. As like a message to you. Austyn, thank you so much for this reading tonight. I have a lot of stress because taking care of my mom, who is 96 and very strong. Lots of stress, but hearing from my dad put a smile on my face. So
it's I give her lots of credit, because there are seasons in your life with different changes, and it is an honor to be with people in the dying process. Try to not lean out of that moment if you have an opportunity for it. Part of the reason why I love the Afterlife conference that I was a board member for 7 or 8 years, was because we spent a lot of time talking about death and the dying process and conscious dying. And it was the advent of death doulas, and that whole movement was a lot of what my friend Dr. Terry Daniel kind of began a conversation about. And now, death doulas are so beautifully, and hospice is such a great thing. I just want to say a couple of things. Hospice can come in so much sooner than you think. They don't have to be dying in order to have a hospice present. Yes. Hospice was in 3 years before my mom died. And one of the gals who I just adore on the planet became a very close friend of mine, but was around my mom for 3 years. So hospice is a great thing to align with, because it's information, it's support, it's knowing, when the right time is to transition from a bed to a hospital bed, if you're going to be fortunate enough to have somebody die at home. But the other thing I just want to say, some of the most beautiful moments I had with my mom was after she died. I was not present when my mom died. And for all the people who weren't there when your loved one died, please understand that sometimes they need to die by themselves. Have you ever been to a party and it's really good and it's the middle of the party? Do you want to leave? No. So sometimes that's why they can transition when we're not there. But before you call, if you're going to have, them cremated, or you're going to have anything like that, just spend some time with the body. And it's not a weird thing at all. It's extraordinary. My mom had the most beautiful moles on her back, and I took pictures, and there were a number of us in the room. We all had taken care of her at different points. We held her hand. We could feel the soul. We could feel her soul, because a lot of times rigor mortis happens. I hope this isn't too morbid for everybody, but it's going to happen to all of us at some point. Yeah. Rigor mortis is when, the life of the body starts leaving, and the body just gets stiff because the anima isn't there anymore. Okay. My mom, we were with her for 3.5 hours. She was completely moving because we were honoring her soul. Yeah. Yeah. And it helped her in the dying process, because she was afraid of that moment. But we bathed her, and, there's so many things. So people from hospice can help with that. Death doulas are amazing. So don't feel that you have to go through this alone. Have the scary conversations about what they want at their funeral. There's tons of books and things that can help you with all that process. And podcast. There's a great podcast, the Afterlife University by
interesting.
Oh God. I have to find her name, because I want to give a huge shout out for her. So give me a moment while
So it's called the Afterlife University.
No, I want to go to her page.
Because you got
No, I have to go to, she wrote a review for my book, and she's one of my favorite people on the planet. Her name is Karen Wyatt. She is a hospice physician and a spiritual teacher, and she has a podcast. Thank you for letting me. I knew I was going to be able to say something. End of Life University, and she's written some beautiful books. But her podcast, if you have any interest in anything about death and dying, just get there. Incredible people, great conversations, and beautiful. Yeah, she's an amazing woman.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's beautiful. And let me just tell you, Jessica over on Instagram said, that conversation and concept is so hard for me, which is why I think I unconsciously shy away from connecting to spirit more deeply. Now, I happen to know Jessica, so I know she is very connected, but I understand why some people just sort of shy away from it, because there's a responsibility there, in a sense, I mean, there's a responsibility there, and it can be a lot for some people to take on. So
think of it this way. The person who's dying is going through a very lonely process. Yeah. Because they're trying not to cause waves. Sometimes if you've got a narcissistic parent, you're in for a good ride, because they're going to talk about it. And that's the blessing of a narcissist. Right. Mm-hmm. But like my friend that's in the dying process right now, who just gave up her bed for her hospital bed. She was afraid of telling her kids about it. And I said, talk to them. They need to be part of this process. Don't be afraid of the scary stuff. The scary stuff is just stuff we haven't tried yet. There's really no reason. I mean, I totally get being afraid, trust me, but there's so much beauty that can happen around death too. Yes, there are moments where it's completely out of our control, and I get it. But if you have the chance to be with someone who's dying, be there, because you're going to witness the absolute duality of the soul, the human being letting go, but the spiritual being remembered. And those two conversations happen like this. And you'll feel guides and angels and dogs on the bed, and then all of a sudden your loved one will be in massive pain. But if you can see it as a moment we're all going to have, and you might as well prep for it a little bit, because then you're going to be better for everybody else to help them with it. I know we took like a major at the end.
I know we did, but that's okay. It's where spirit wanted us to go.
Conversation. It's such a necessary conversation to have.
And Jessica said on Instagram, she said, I was with my grandma when she passed, and it was more peaceful than I would have thought it would be. It was beautiful looking back at it. So beautiful. I was with my dad allowed me to be in the room when he passed. And this was one of my first, he died in 2000. So long time, like 25 years ago, right? 24 years ago. And it was one of my first things that ever, like, I was like, ooh, I need to check this out. Right.
But that's a big thing for your dad to have let happen, because that's not your dad's style at all. You understand me saying that, right?
Really interesting. Okay.
I mean, I feel like your dad has a tendency sometimes to be very private too.
Oh yes. Very, 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 which is why you're saying,
to open up like that. That's what I mean. I'm like, oh my God, go dad. Like,
right.
It was also speaks to the depth of your relationship. But anyway,
absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? One of the coolest parts of that was that after he passed, my mom was in the room too. And of course she's a mess, because she's like, if you think I have kind of a big personality, she's even more, so she was going, oh my God, whatever. And I remember I was sitting back and like, kind of like, whoa, and I look up, and it's not like, and this is why I didn't know I was a medium for a long time. I think I may have told you this. I didn't know I was a medium for a long time, because what happened is that I didn't see him, but I knew he was up there. I felt him, so I felt him up there, and I just said, Dad, I got it. I'll take care of her. Don't worry. And then I could just feel him, it was, so it was really extraordinary. It was such a beautiful, it really was such a beautiful moment. So and things happen.
It's such a beautiful story, Lauri, because it is an invitation to become aware of what is invisible. And that's the whole conversation we're having today, is about the things that you can't see, but they're more real than the things that we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. And what a beautiful way, we're over the hour. So what a beautiful way to complete this conversation. Austyn, this was so magical tonight. I can't even tell you. I'm just, it's so interesting. I love the words that you come out with, like the way you describe things. And it's like, oh, wow. And it's like, that's what we need more of in what we do. We need to experience. And that's why I tell, because I have some of my students are on here tonight too. And it's like, we need to experience different types or different people, different mediums, different spiritual workers, different light workers, right? Because they may say something in a different way than another person would. And you might, like, all of a sudden it might be like, oh, I get it, kind of thing. So really fascinating. So this was,
I think it's always good. I go back to that buffet analogy. I think nobody's plate is going to look the same.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the people, and sometimes, God, I've had some people in my life who I just was ready to just snap. And they were the people who said the most insightful things. And had I snapped them, I never would have experienced it. So if you can just step into the agreement
Yeah.
And this is a big one. Step into the agreement that your life is happening for you. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're not
Yeah.
off path. You're not, your chakras haven't closed down. That happens when you're dead, not now. But you're not a flan in the oven that's collapsing.
Yeah.
But you're going to find exactly what you want if you just keep taking little baby steps forward.
Right.
And then one thing leads to another. And then all of a sudden you get to this point, and it doesn't always stay, but you get to this point where it just starts. It's like kind of the dragon analogy I was using before. It's like you're under the water and you're learning, and then you're up and you kind of get it. And then you go back under the water.
And then you're back under.
So it's like the yin yang symbol that is always just like kind of shifting. There's a part of us always in growth, and a part of us is an epiphany. And just love the journey. It's a damn good one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so Ed says, you two are awesome. Thank you both for sharing. Loved it. Big hug, Austyn. Miss you, my friend.
I love you, Ed.
I have to tell you, on Instagram, another dear friend, Dory Molly B.
Oh, Dory.
She's one of my favorite people. She and Kay are like, I swear, back when, whenever I was going to the development circle over there with the whole big crowd before COVID, those two were the ones that I would just be like, Dory, come sit with me.
Love Dory.
Kind of feel your energy, or Kay.
Welcome home, Dory. Yay.
So, Austyn, thank you so much for being here tonight. So now, do you want to tell us, is your website is austynwells.com, correct?
Yes. Austyn with a Y, kind of like how it's spelled. Oh, sorry. Right there.
There you go.
AustynWells.com. Shock. Wow. Yes. And so that's where you can find kind of the things. I'm a classic Gemini, so I always will have lots of things going on.
There you go.
I do. Do you mind if I say a couple of things?
No, yes, please tell us everything.
I'm mindful about time. I'm like, do we have to stop now?
No, we're good. We're all good.
So I started off as a medium, and then just the whole conversation just exploded. So I love teaching. So I offer things online. I have a membership called AWSM Family, and that's for Austyn Wells Spiritual Medium, which just happens to be awesome, which I love. So anyway, so it's an awesome family. Yeah, it's my license plate. So I have a membership, which is really fun, all different paths to explore your soul. And then I've been having a lot of fun doing retreats. I do personalized retreats. So if you get a gaggle of people that want to come to Palm Springs, I can tailor make a retreat to you. And sound bath, meditation, and all sorts of different things. But I also have some really fun things coming up, which there's a couple of people here that may get me in trouble because I'm saying it ahead of time. But there may be an opportunity that I'm teaching in England this fall.
At a really cool college.
No, not there, but with a very friendly English medium who I love.
Oh my gosh.
So we're looking at September for that. And then I have a trip to Egypt next spring. And then I'm dancing around one that will be in Bali, which will be just crazy. So there's lots of opportunities, to expand. But I have a gift for everybody that Lauri's going to put the link for down below. And
actually, I put it on we can't there. I can't.
We'll add the link. We'll add the link below, right?
Okay, yeah, because I can't put a picture in it.
So it's since Lauri does meditation and I do meditation, I wanted to complement both of us. So it's bringing in some of my shamanic work and some of that, but it's a time travel journey, which should be kind of fun. And then also an invitation for everybody to join me for free every Wednesday night for my Wednesday night meditations, or what used to be daily meds, at 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's a great group of people, but it's free. And my whole intent is to just provide a place and a space where you can practice that conversation. So awesome. Come on over and play.
Beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, and you can find all of that information on austynwells.com, I'm sure, right, too. So yay, thank you so much for being here.
So much fun.
How excited I've been all week. you know,
So,
and yeah, so thank you so much. Your energy is
and
just so beautiful, and I just appreciate everything about you. So thank you so much for
can I
being
also just say, girlfriend, this is a perfect forum for you because you have so much love and so much light, and your enthusiasm is infectious. So the people that have found you are very smart and intelligent, and I'm
here.
sure they're going to learn a boatload. So
Oh,
congratulations on birthing yet another soul.
thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
all right. So we will see you next week. And until next time, namaste, everybody. Have a beautiful night.
Bye.